Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting fractions. And I want to talk about a trick you can use here that's going to help you as you progress into higher math classes, because typically the way in which you're taught to add and subtract fractions is not really efficient, right? So typically when you learned in grade school how to add and subtract fractions, you were taught to do this vertically, where you would have 7 over 5, just looking at the first problem, right? And then you would do 2 over 13, okay? And you'd have to get a common denominator here between 5 and 13. You'd have to figure out what that common denominator is going to be, and then you would go from there, right? This is actually not a really efficient way to go about doing these problems, and this is not going to be a good way to do these problems as you progress higher into the more difficult math classes. So let's go ahead and talk about a trick we can use to add and subtract fractions, right? So all you're going to do, I have 7 over 5 plus 2 over 13. I'm going to go ahead and write that out. So 7 over 5 plus 2 over 13. Now, we're not doing this vertically, right? We're horizontal now. So all I have to do to get a common denominator, I'm simply just going to multiply my denominators. I'm going to do 5 times 13. And when I do that, I get 65. So I'm going to put below here a new fraction. I'm going to put 65 right here. Okay. And now essentially all you have to do is cross multiply. It's very similar to how you would do a proportion, but this is not a proportion, right? But you're just going to cross multiply like this. I'm going to do 7 times 13, and then I'm going to do 5 times 2, right? And I'm going to write that on my numerator right here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do 7 times 13. And when I do that, I get 91. So I get 91. And then I put the sign, which is addition. And now I'm going to cross multiply here. 5 times 2, I get 10. And now we just simply add the numerator. And when I do that, I get 101. I get 101 all over 65. And this right here is going to be our final answer. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about reducing these problems. Even if we can, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. So that's done, right? You just went ahead and combine those fractions. And in my opinion, that is way more efficient than doing the vertical method that you were taught probably in grade school. Okay, so let's do another problem. Let's look at number 2. This one's going to be subtraction. You can see that right here. So I'm going to write 5 over 2, rewrite the problem, 5 over 2 minus 7 over 11. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to multiply right across to get our denominator. We're going to do 2 times 11. That will give me 22. And now again, we just cross multiply here. So again, I'm going to do 5 times 11. And then 2 times 7. That's all we're doing here. Very similar to how you would do a proportion, right? So if I do 5 times 11, I get 55. And then you put the sign, which is minus. And now again, we just have to reduce our numerator and we should be good from here. So I'm going to do 55 minus 14 and I get 41. So I'm going to put 41 all over 22. And this here is going to be our final answer. All right, so we're done there. All right, let's go ahead and look at some more problems here. So here are some more problems. I have 4 over 5 and then minus 8 over 9. So again, same thing. Let's multiply right across here. We're going to do 5 times 9 and we're going to get 45 here. So we put 45 right here. And then again, we're going to cross multiply. 4 times 9, that is going to give me 36. Then I put the sign, which is minus. And now 5 times 8, that will give me 40. Okay. So we're going to end up with a negative number here. No big deal. So I end up with negative 4 all over 45. And that is going to do it. Okay. So this problem is now complete. Okay. So let's try 4. I got 5 over 6 plus 2 over 11. So again, same thing here. I'm going to multiply right across. 6 times 11. I get 66. And then again, we're just going to go ahead and cross multiply. 5 times 11, 55. And then plus 6 times 2, that's going to give me 12. And I'm just going to take care of my numerator now. So I'm going to do 55 plus 12. That is going to give me 67. So 67 all over 66. And that is going to be our final answer, right? So we can go ahead and box that in. All right, so here are some more problems. Now, these are actually mixed numbers right here. This is not a 15, okay? That is 1 and then 5 over 6. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite these problems as mixed numbers. So 1 and then 5 over 6 minus, and then we have 3 and then 4 over 5. Okay. So what we have to do here is put this as an improper fraction on both of them, and then we can go ahead and do what we've been doing. So right here, I'm going to simply just multiply, right? And then add. That's how we turn it into an improper fraction. Same thing here. I'm going to multiply and then add. Just be careful of this sign though. We're going to assume that to be a positive 3, not a negative 3. If you say that this is going to be negative 3 and you try to multiply then add, the answer is going to be incorrect. Okay, so you're going to assume that this is a positive 3, you're going to multiply, add, and then the sign just comes along for the ride at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one. 1 times 6 is 6, and then plus 5, you get 11. So I get 11 all over 6. And then this one here, I do 3 times 5, I get 15. And then plus 4, I get 19. So I get 19 all over 5. And you can see how I'm just keeping that negative sign right here, right? So now we're going to multiply across. 6 times 5 will give me 30. And then we're going to cross multiply. So here I'll get 55. Go ahead and put your sign right here. Now here you're going to have to do 6 times 19. And when you do that, you get 114. So again, you are going to get a negative number here. You're going to do 55 minus 114. And you get negative 59. So I get negative 59 all over 30. And that is going to be complete. I'm going to leave it like that. I am not going to put it as a mixed number. I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction, right? That's typically what we do when we go into the higher math classes. We don't really worry about turning it into a mixed number anymore. We like to leave it as an improper fraction, right? So we're going to leave it just like that. All right, let's go ahead and try the last one. Same thing. I have a mixed number right here. So 2 and then 3 over 4 and then plus 5 over 2. So I have to go ahead and convert this to a improper fraction. So multiply, then add. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3. I'm going to get 11 there. So 11 all over 4. And then plus 5 all over 2. So here we're going to multiply across. I get 8, right? 4 times 2. And then 11 times 2 is 22. 22 plus 4 times 5. That will give me 20. This one's pretty much done. 22 plus 20 will give you 42. 42 all over 8. Now, technically, you could reduce that if you wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like this. That is fine. Okay, and that is going to be our final answer. All right, so that is how you can simply add and subtract fractions. I find this way to be way more efficient than the vertical method that you're taught probably in middle school or grade school. And this method here that I'm teaching you is going to carry over as you go into the higher math classes, as you progress from Algebra 1 and you go to Algebra 2 and pre-calculus and calculus and so on. Okay, so I highly recommend this method. It's easier in my opinion, and again, it's more efficient. So if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe so you get more math videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.